Friends, in the last video we have discussed the anatomy, somewhat the terms to understand the anatomy of the spinal cord. So these terms I hope are clear, and I have given you one question to solve. Have you solved? Let's discuss that. So I asked you the what are the coverings of the brain and spinal cord are called, and we have discussed in our terms also that what are the coverings. Let's discuss first that. The coverings are what? Yes, the coverings are very good. Anybody? I didn't find any answer in the comment box. Please do comment so that I can know that you are studying and you are interested in the videos so that it motivates me to make more. So let's discuss the meninges coverings. The coverings are DAP. I give you the mnemonic to remind it by the DAP, that is durameter, arachnoid meter, and pyometer. So together these three are called the meninges. So your answer is D, meninges. Fine. So let's move to our today's topic. So we have discussed the terms which you may approach in the anatomy of the spinal cord while studying. So today we will discuss about the spinal cord. Fine. First of all, I'll show you the structure of spinal cord. See, spinal cord is a butterfly-like structure. Fine. It is a H-shaped structure which resembles a butterfly. It's very easy to draw. My drawing is not that good, but I tried. See, first make the spinal canal, then do like this. Mm, Fine. And this is a outer structure. If you see, it is like this. So we have discussed the terms the gray matter and white matter. If you remember, I told you to memorize only one, either of brain or of spinal cord. If you remember, I told you the inner structure in the spinal cord is called your gray matter, this one, and outer structure is called your white matter, this whole. Fine, this whole, okay. So I'll tell you the trick to memorize it. It's nothing but see, this is your anterior, this is your, yes, this is your dorsal portion. This is your ventral portion, and this is your lateral portion. So we have to name according to it. There is no need to learn. See, if we see, this is a horn, okay, and it is gray. You know that it is a butterfly S-shaped structure, which is a gray matter from the inside and white matter from the outside. Fine. So if we have to see what the name of it is, see, it is a gray matter and it is on the dorsal side. So named it dorsal gray horn. Easy to remember. Fine. Likewise this, it is a lateral portion and it is gray, so it is a lateral gray horn because it resembles like a horn. Fine. And if we see here, it is also a gray portion and it is on the anterior side, so it is called the ventral gray horn. Simple. And if you see the central portion, this, it is called the spinal canal. Here the CSF is running, cerebrospinal fluid, in which the spinal cord is dangling. Fine. And if we see, this is a white structure, means white matter whole. Fine. So we have to name according to it. This is a lateral white funiculus. Likewise it is a what? Yes, ventral or anterior, anything you can say. Ventral or anterior white funiculus. And again this one is your dorsal white funiculus. Easy to remember, there is no need to learn it. And if we see, this is your what? This is your on the posterior side and it is in the median, so it is called posterior median septum because it is dividing now. Fine. And this is your what? I'll draw here. This is your on the posterior side. Fine. What we say? This is a sulcus now, so it is called posterior median sulcus. If we talk about the second one, it is called posterior because it is in between the two intermediate sulcus. And this third one is the posterolateral sulcus. Is it difficult to remember it? You don't have to memorize anything, you just have to make a diagram and see. Wait. You have to draw this H-shaped butterfly structure, and this is your inner part, so it is called your gray matter, and the outer portion is your white matter. Fine. And we have to name it accordingly. This is on the dorsal side, so it is called the dorsal gray horn, and it is on the ventral side, so it is called ventral gray horn. This is the lateral gray horn, this is the spinal canal, and it is a septum, and it is on the posterior side, so it is called the posterior median septum. If we have to name on the white part, that is the posterior or dorsal white funiculus, lateral white funiculus, ventral white funiculus. Fine. And if we see this, this is on the top side, so it is a posterior median sulcus, this is a posterior intermediate sulcus, and this is a posterior lateral sulcus. Is it difficult? It's very easy. Yes, Hana? So if we see, this is a on the posterior side, so it is a commissure because it is connecting the two sides. Fine. I told you left and right. So which commissure? Anterior gray commissure. Why gray? Because it's a gray matter, and it is a posterior gray commissure because it is on the posterior side, right? And it is a anterior gray commissure because it is on the ventral side, or ventral gray commissure. Why gray? Because it is in the gray matter, and why commissure? Because it is connecting the both sides, left and right. So is easy. Now I'll show you the diagram. See, if you can see here, we have drawn this structure, and this is your gray matter and this is your white matter. Fine. named is posterior gray horn. Likewise, we have given the, because it is on the posterior side and it looks like a horn, so and it's gray in color, so posterior gray horn. And here if we see, it is on the lateral side and it resembles like a horn and it is a gray color, so it is called the lateral gray horn. So if we see here, so it is a anterior gray horn because it is on the anterior side. Fine. And this is your this one is your spinal canal. If we see, I have shown you that this is a septum because it is dividing into two parts and it is on the posterior side, so it is a posterior median septum. This is your posterior median sulcus. This is your posterior intermediate sulcus and posterior lateral sulcus. Easy. We have done all the things. I am just revising you this. This is on the lateral side, so it is called the lateral wide funiculus. It is the posterior wide funiculus because it is on the posterior side. This is your anterior wide funiculus because it is on the interior side, and these are your commissures. So this is the interior white commissure, white why? Because it's a white matter. If we talk about here, this is a gray commissure because it is connecting the gray matter both sides. So it is anterior gray commissure. Likewise, if the gray matter is connecting the both sides, so it is on the dorsal side, so it is called the dorsal gray commissure or the posterior gray commissure. Fine, easy. And the one thing I left, this one, this is a anterior median fissure. Fissure means it's a, looks like it divides now, so it is a fissure. Means you can say it is on the interior side and it's in the middle. Likewise, the posterior median septum because it is dividing, but it is a hollow structure, right? It is not a part or it is a hollow from here, so it is a fissure. It is called the anterior median fissure. This is a, this is your section of the spinal cord. So if you cut the spinal cord and you see, you will see the structure like this. Fine. The one which is drawn here, you will see this, and you can find these the structures. Okay. So let's proceed to the next. Have you all got the structure of the spinal cord? Then we will proceed to the next thing. Yeah, it's very easy. Likewise, I told you there is no need to memorize it. You just have to see the inner structure is your gray matter and outer structure is your white matter. This one. So we have to name it accordingly. Likewise, I told you. Fine. Now we will move to the tracts, the one we have seen. First of all, we will discuss the ascending tracts, then we will discuss the descending tracts. Okay. If we see the ascending tracts, so if we see the ascending tracts, we have these many tracts, that is anterior spinothalamic tract, lateral spinothalamic tract, cerebellar tract, that includes your ventral and dorsal spinocerebellar tract, spinotectal tract, fasciculus dorsolaterales, spinoreticular, spinoolivary, and spinovestibular tract. And among these, first of all, we will discuss these two, fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. Fine. These are your posterior white column tracts. Means these, wait, I'll show you. See, if we see the spinal cord, for example, I'll show you here only. So these are located here. These are, I told you the tracts are your white column. So these are located here because it is a dorsal column, right? Dorsal white column. So it is located here. Fine. Now if we talk about the Dorsal column tracts. These are also called the dorsal column. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. These are also called the dorsal column. Medial lemniscus system or the tract. Fine. And you know why it is called? Because it is, we will see that in the detail. But for now, you know that it is situated in the dorsal white column. So this is called the dorsal column, medial lemniscal system. Fine. So if we start the, we have see that we have to study about the fasciculus, cuneatus, and fasciculus gracilis, right? So if we see, we have to first of all know about the function of it, that what are the things that this tract is responsible for. So let's see, this tract is responsible for your kinesthetic sensation. You know what is kinesthetic? It is a joint position sense. Fine. Your proprioception, 2 point discrimination, your fine touch, your vibration, and stereognosis. So let's clear out the term one by one. What is your kinesthetic sensation? If I talk about your kinesthetic sensation is your joint position sense. Fine. If you have to close your eyes and with that you have to locate that where is your joint in the space. Fine. This is called your kinesthetic sensation. And your proprioception, you have to locate that with the closed eyes, that what is the position of your joint, either is in flexion or is in extension, means either it is bent or it is extend. Fine. This is called your proprioception. And 2 point discrimination is what? If you can see that if you have to with your, these sensations are checked by with your closed eyes. And 2 point discrimination is if you close your eyes and with the very very fine points, with the 2 points you have to locate that either it is a 2 point or it is a 1 point, means what you are feeling, that you can either you can discriminate it between the 2 points. That is called your 2 point discrimination. This also you have to do with your closed eyes. Fine touch also, like very precisely if anybody touches you, for example like with the pin or needle, you can locate the appropriate place, that where it is and how much area it is. This is called a fine touch. And vibration, you know that we have to check it with the vibration is also sensed with your closed eyes. Okay. And stereognosis is what? With your closed eyes you have to you have to just see that what is the shape of the object. For example, if you placed a pen in your hand, if somebody places your pen in your hand with your closed eyes and you don't see it, but with the help of the structure and size and shape you have to tell that what is it, means you have to locate it. That is called your stereognosis. And one more one more sensation I have to include here is, wait, that is your graphesthesia. This is what? This is actually when with the closed eyes anybody writes on your back that either it is alphabets or the numericals like ABC or 1 2 3, and you have to just do locate that what anybody or is written on your back, so with your closed eyes. This is also called the graphesthesia. So these are the sensations which are checked with the help of your dorsal column medial lemniscal tract. Means the function of this is these are these. So if you have any injury or any problem in this tract, so these sensations would be hampered. Okay, so now let's discuss that how this tract is and where is it located, and what is the course of this tract and the termination. We will discuss it one by one. Fine. If we have to start it, see, I'll draw the small structure of spinal cord here. See, before it, I just want to clear your one point more. Just a second. Before starting this tract, because it is very important to know it. For example, this is your spinal cord. All of you now know that what is your spinal cord. So let's see, this is your spinal cord. Let's make it very fast. I just have to told you what is the nerve roots and all to clear the basics, right? So that you don't feel confused while studying. So let's suppose this is your dorsal area and this is your ventral area. If I have to say, this is like this. Fine. So this is your dorsal area, remove it for example. So sensations are coming from your body via the receptors. You know that, okay? I'll not go in that detail. For example, sensations are coming from your body from the receptors through the sensory nerve. Nerve is your neuron only, fine. Through the sensory nerve to the posterior root ganglion, and from there it have to go to the dorsal side. From there it passes to the higher centers, that we will see how. And from the higher centers, if the message is given, it will come to the spinal cord, and through the ventral root is your motor root, right? And dorsal root is your sensory root. So from here, the if motor nerve will become, here it will become mixed. Why? Because it is mixing with your dorsal area, right? So from here it is exiting, and the ramus, this is a trunk, this is the trunk of the nerve root, and this is the ramus. So it will supply to the effector. Effector means your muscle or gland. Is it clear up to here? I just have to clear it that this is the wait, that this area is your sensory area and this area is your motor area. Fine. Because anterior part is your ventral part and it is concerned with the motor area, and dorsal part is your sensory part where the very good, where the information is coming from the body and it goes to the brain, and from the CNS it comes down to the spinal cord, and through the motor nerve it comes to the body. So you respond like that. Fine. And from where the senses are coming? From the receptors. So if I ask you that what are receptors, can anybody tell me that what are receptors? Yes, do comment in the comment box. Very good. Receptors are your transducers. These are your transducers which convert your energy from one form to another form. Fine. So it converts your energy into one form to another form. For example, it converts your mechanical energy into your electrochemical form. Fine. So now before going into that detail, let's come here and discuss about the, we were discussing the Gracilis and Cuneatus tract, means dorsal column lemniscal system. So for example, I have drawn here the spinal cord structure. Let's suppose we draw here two. See, so I told you that the receptors are needed to take the sensations, and I told you the sensations, the dorsal column lemniscus is responsible for the kinesthetic sense, proprioception, 2 point discrimination, fine touch, your vibration, stereognosis, and graphesthesia. And we have seen that what is the term of this, right? You know the terminology of it. So now let's proceed here. The receptors are your Pacinian corpuscles, your Meissner cells, okay, your Golgi tendon organ, and your muscle spindle. Fine. These are your receptors which take the sensation of dorsal column system. Fine. So I'll erase it. So now we were talking that these are the receptors. Fine. And I told you this is your dorsal root. Fine. We have discussed right now. This is your dorsal root. So, from the receptors like Pacinian corpuscles, muscle spindle, Golgi tendon organ, right, and Meissner's corpuscles, these are the receptors from which these sensations are coming. Sensations of what? Sensation of kinesthesia, proprioception, and graphesthesia, stereognosis. We have discussed that, right? Dorsal column sensation, now I will say in the falling tract. Whenever I'll talk about the dorsal column sensation, you just have to remember that I'm talking about the sensation of graphesthesia, stereognosis, your 2 point discrimination, proprioception, and your kinesthetic sensations, and your fine touch sensation, vibration. These are the sensations which are carried by your dorsal column lemniscal system. Fine. So now let's see the course, how it is moving. Now see, if we draw here, see, this is the, these are from the receptors. You know the receptors now, I'll not say it again and again. From the receptor, this comes into the dorsal root ganglion. This is nothing but the collection of nerve in the dorsal root. So it is called your dorsal root ganglion. It is very important because many of the tracts form the first neuron here, first order neuron. Okay. Dorsal root ganglion, I'll represent it with the DRA. Fine. So from the dorsal root ganglion, it will not form here the first order neuron. It will go to where? It will go to the dorsal horn, and from the dorsal horn it moves ipsilaterally. Fine. It moves ipsilaterally upwards. So for example, these are your legs. Okay. My drawing is not that good, but I'll try to make you understand. I'll make it easy for you. These tracks are confusion for everybody, but we will make it very simple. Fine. For example, these are your lower limb and your trunk, and this I have drawn at the level of cervical. Okay? Means in your body, the spinal cord is at every level, but I'll show you that the section of the spinal cord at the level of lumbar and sacrum region, and at the level of your cervical region. Fine. If we see, the receptors are taking the information, receptors are giving the sensation from the skin, from the skin to the dorsal root ganglion, and from there it will not form the first order neuron there. It will come to the dorsal horn, and it goes ipsilaterally. Ipsilaterally means on the same side. Fine. It goes on the same side upwards and ascends upwards. Fine. Likewise, it will take the sensation from the lower limb, from the trunk, and then from the upper limb. Wait, I'll draw it with another color so that you don't go confused. Likewise, in the same way, these are also coming, the same sensations are coming from the receptors. Receptors take the sensation from the skin and pass it to the dorsal root ganglion. From there it will go to the dorsal gray horn, and there it will ascend to the upwards. Fine. So if you can see here, you see one thing. See, the sensation which are coming from the downward, it is means downwards means your lower limb and trunk, it is on the lateral side. It is on the medial side, sorry. Fine, because it is approaching the midline. And the sensation which are adding up from the upper side, it is on the lateral side. Right? So you can conclude it that the sensations which are adding up in the upper fascium, so it will add up laterally. It is very important to remember it, because when the injury will occur, if the lateral part or the lateral tract goes into the lesion, then the problem will be in the upper limb, okay, and the cervical region. And if you have the lesion in the whole tract, means or the more the medial side of the tract is coming into the lesion, so more injury will be, symptoms can be seen in your legs and trunk, means your lower limb and the trunk. Fine. So from here, you understand up to here, this is very easy, right? We have taken the section of the spinal cord, and then we have seen at the level of sacrum and lumbar and at the level of cervical region. Then what we have seen, it will take the sensation from the receptors to the dorsal root ganglion. From there it comes to the dorsal horn, likewise in the upper region also, and it is adding continually in the from the whole body, taking the sensations. You know the sensations which is taken by the dorsal column lemniscal system. Fine. These sensations are carried by your in the cervical region and the upper portion, in and adding it the to the lateral side. Fine. Now I will add some more terminology here. If it is clear up to here, so let's see. It's very easy if you go it like this, and it will be difficult if you don't understand it. See, we have seen, for example, this is at the lumbar region and this is at the cervical region. Fine. So, if we see, sensations are taking or coming from the receptors approaching the dorsal root ganglion to the dorsal gray horn. Here we have the dorsal gray horn. You all remember. Likewise in the cervical region. Fine. The bundle of neurons which are ascending up, these are medially and these are, I'll draw it with another pen so that you can, it is more clear for you. So this is lateral, right? So if I name it, these are from the medial side, so these are Gracilis, and these are on the lateral side, these are Cuneatus. So we have seen that these are called the fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus, right? So this is nothing but the bundle of the nerve fibers which are in the circular region and taking the origin from the lumbar region or the trunk region. These are which are adding medially are called your fasciculus gracilis. It is very important to learn or to know this term, and which are adding the dorsal column sensations which are taking the region from the skin and going towards the dorsal root ganglion, adding up to the dorsal gray horn, then there it ascends upwards, then they laterally, these are called the fasciculus cuneatus. So fasciculus cuneatus is taking the sensations of your upper limb and to the from the cervical region. Fine. Up to here it is clear. So I'll take one more slide to make you understand this and to make it more clear to you. So here I will draw only the sensations. Fine. If you see, these are the medial sensations, so these are called the gracilis, and if I take it with another pen, so this is called the cuneatus. Fine. So it is ascending upwards, crossing the cervical region. From there it will ascends upwards to your brainstem. Good. So this is your medulla. In the medulla, what are these? Your pyramids and olives. Fine. If I draw here, wait. So let's take it small because we have very small space over here. So if we see, this is your fasciculus cuneatus because it is laterally, and it is your fasciculus gracilis. Fine. So now we will draw that after crossing the cervical region it will reach to the medulla, right? In the medulla we have the olives, pyramid, pyramid, olives. Fine. This is your medullary level. Fine. So here your from the both sides it will come, right? Gracilis and Cuneatus. Likewise, wait, I'll draw it very nicely. Gracilis, Gracilis and Cuneatus and Cuneatus. You know from where it is coming, right? From the spinal cord. And if we see like this at the medulla, in the medulla at the pyramids and olives level, we have the here we have the nucleus. Nucleus are what we have discussed in the brain. We have the cell bodies collection which is called your or gray matter collection which is called your nucleus. Fine. So these are your nucleus cuneatus, nucleus cuneatus, and this is your nucleus gracilis and nucleus gracilis. Fine. Here after reaching here, from both sides, right? For example, from your left side and from your right side. So after reaching here in the nucleus cuneatus and nucleus gracilis, likewise on the other side. Fine. Before it is fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. Fine. So after reaching here, it will form the nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. It is worth repeating because here your first order neuron forms. I will make it clear that what are first order neurons. See, whenever the neuron, for example, this is a neuron and this is the another neuron. So it synapse over here. So your neuron which are originating from your skin coming to the dorsal root ganglion, then to the dorsal gray horn, it will form the first order neuron here at the nucleus cuneatus and nucleus gracilis. Fine. Now what happens is, if we see, these are coming ipsilaterally, means these are uncrossed, left sides coming from the left side and right side coming from the right side. Now what happens here at the medullary level, these tracts getting crossed, like see, I'll draw it with a different color so that it will be more clear. See, from the left side it is with the orange color, that fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus, and this is from the right side with the green color, this fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. Can you see? These are now ascending upwards. Likewise, from the left side also, these are coming and ascending upwards. Now from here the second order neuron starts, right? The level at which it gets crossed is the medullary level, and the crossing is called your internal arcuate fibers. What it is called? Internal arcuate fiber. It's very easy. The crossing at the medullary level is called internal arcuate fiber. Now the left side goes to the right side and right side comes to the left side. Fine. Now see, it is the medulla. Above medulla what we have? For example, this is the pons, and then we have the midbrain, right? You know, in the midbrain we have the two egg-like structure which are called your thalamus. Fine. So your both the second order neurons will come ascends upwards, and finally they will terminate in the respective thalamus. In the thalamus, where it will terminate? In the VPL nucleus. Thalamus also we have the gray matter collection, that is called your nucleus. This is called your ventro posterior lateral nucleus. So VPL nucleus. In the VPL nucleus it ascends. It will form your, their second order neuron will synapse. Fine, and there it will form your third order neuron, which will further goes to and ascends upwards to your sensory cortex. This is your cortex. Fine. Is it difficult to remember? This is called your dorsal column medial lemniscal system. See, dorsal column, you know that why it is called the dorsal column, because if you see here, it is situated in the dorsal column. Fine. And why it is called the medial lemniscal system, this we will discuss. See here, after crossing it will reaches the pons, and there it will form the flattened bundle. Earlier it was circular, so here it is flattened. It will form the lemniscus, and it is coming medially, so it is called the medial lemniscus. Okay, this is called the medial lemniscus on the both sides. I'll draw it with another pen. These bundle of neurons only. These are called here medial lemniscus. Okay. So this is called your dorsal column medial lemniscal system. Now if we talk about the termination in the of the second order neuron and third order neuron originates in the VPL nucleus of the thalamus. From the thalamus it will go to the higher centers to the sensory cortex. Fine. So if you have any problem or any lesion in the tract before the crossing, means above the crossing, for example, let's discuss. For example, you have the lesion here. So what will be the presentation of the patient? How the patient will present? This is the left side and this is the right side. So patient will have, or patient will present with the loss of all the sensations we discussed, like proprioception, your kinesthetic sense, your graphesthesia, your stereognosis, vibration and fine touch. From the contralateral side, because the tracts are of, or the fibers are of your right side, which are coming here, right? So patient will have the contralateral loss of all these sensations, right? And for example, patient is having the lesion over here, below the crossing. So patient will present the ipsilateral loss of all the sensations, right? So with this your first tract is complete, which is called your dorsal column medial lemniscal system. I'll show you in the diagram also. For example, see, this is your dorsal column system or dorsal column medial lemniscal system. If we see, see, these are your sensations and This is your dorsal root ganglion like we have discussed in our diagram. From here the sensations are coming to the dorsal gray horn, then in the dorsal column it will ascend upwards up to the medulla. These are your fasciculus gracilis which are on the medial side. You can see this, and I'll draw it with another pen. This is on your medial side, and if you can see the fasciculus cuneatus, see this one, it is on the lateral side. So it is ascending upwards in the medulla. See here, medulla. So in the medulla it will cross, these fibers will cross, these fibers cross here, it is called the internal arcuate fibers, right? After crossing they will ascend upwards in the midbrain. So in the midbrain we have the egg like structure which is called your thalamus. So in the VPL nucleus of thalamus it will terminate the second order neuron. From here the third order neuron starts, and this is called your what, medial lemniscus, if you remember, right? And from here it will go to the your sensory cortex. See your third order neuron, and here is your second order neuron only. And your first order neuron forms where, at the medulla. Before crossing we have the nucleus cuneatus and nucleus gracilis. Is it clear? Okay, thank you so much. Now I will post one question for you so that I get to know that you are studying. um, okay, your question is, let's say, where in the medial lemniscal system crossing occurs. It's very important. If you have studied this lecture by heart, you can know this answer. Okay, so your options are at spinal level, at midbrain level, at medulla, or at pons. Do comment me in the comment section that what are your answers. Please subscribe my video, and thanks for watching. Thank you so much.